Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the continuing saga over the release of the report into the alleged Russian interference in British elections and polls. But first, if you'd like to receive daily notification of news and political commentary, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So that the Russian government would have authorised interference in the UK's electoral processes would be a surprise to nobody who has been following the equivalent investigation in the United States. However, there are naysayers, and we probably need a little bit more evidence than simply supposing that it's obvious if it happened in America. And that evidence is contained within a British report, which was supposed to be published last autumn, but was blocked by Boris Johnson. The reasons were clear enough. He was and is a beneficiary of that interference, as it was pro-Brexit and also pro-conservative, at least as long as Boris Johnson carries on with his dismantling of the British state. It was also noted that several Russians with links to the Kremlin, who are reported to be mentioned in the report, donated to Boris Johnson's campaign when he announced that he would not allow the publication before the general election. But the general election is over now, and the report is still not being published, and in all likelihood won't be until Boris Johnson's government is finally replaced, at least. The government's excuse before the election was that they needed time to consider the security implications. This was not true, as the Prime Minister's office do not do that. How are politicians supposed to know what the security implications of anything are? It's the job of the Cabinet Office to do that, and they cleared it. The excuse is now that the Intelligence and Security Committee need to authorise its release. But this is also a bit of a fib, because that committee not only authorised its release before the general election, but were pushing very strongly for it to do so. And although nobody is allowed to publicly say what's in the report as yet, the fact that former committee members with no love for Johnson, such as Dominic Grieve, who was the chairman, and Ian Blackford, the leader of the SNP in Westminster, they've been arguing very, very strongly for its publication for some time and continuing to do so. That means that the report definitely contains damaging evidence against both the Kremlin and Boris Johnson's campaigns. Were this not the case, they wouldn't be pushing it so strongly. If the report is simply going to say, actually, we haven't found anything, why on earth would Johnson's political opponents be pushing for this? And as committee members, they are going to know whether it's damaging or not. We may not know for certain what is in the report, but they do. They wrote it. So to play along with Boris Johnson's little game, we need this Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee to get the ball rolling again. The only problem is that there isn't one. Boris Johnson has been blocking the formation of the committee. Select committees exist, and they're formed of MPs, to question ministers and hold the government to account. Now, it's not really Boris Johnson's style to have his nonsense questioned, and he certainly doesn't want his less than sophisticated ministers being questioned by sharper minds either. So he's been putting the brakes on these committees forming. So, no committee, no report. Of course, a committee will have to form at some point, and the report then released. But it will take a lot longer yet than the mere few weeks that he said it would. And when it does, it will undoubtedly be heavily redacted. Remember when Labour demanded a report into the meetings that took place between British and American officials on the subject of talks about the NHS paying over the odds for American medicines? Well, when they handed over that report, every single word was redacted. In fact, it wasn't just the words, everything, even the bullet points were redacted in the report as well. There will also be egregious redactions in the interference report as well, when whatever is left is published. So what then? Parliament could force the publication of the full report. They've done this a couple of times last year. MPs have that power. But, oh, look, the opposition gave Boris Johnson a massive majority in the House. So that'll be that. Because we have nobody that can act as a genuine check against corruption in the government, given that our constitutional system essentially assumes that ministers are fundamentally decent chaps, we're going to be left in the dark with nothing but strong suspicions for company until a decent government eventually takes over. Or at least a government that is opposed to Boris Johnson and what he's been doing. But who knows when that will be. I also wouldn't hold out much hope of a leak. That'd be the only hope of getting this report in anything like the next few years. I know a lot of these leaks happened last year, but Boris Johnson has too much power now. I do not think it would be worth the shit that would befall any civil servant that leaks this report. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.